Extremely warm welcome to you all. I am absolutely ecstatic to have you here on SBS Live this week with us this time. Believe it, this is going to be an incredible show. We've got Blistur on the show from Jacksonville, Florida. And that's a long way away. We all know that. We're up here in Canada. We're here in Ottawa. We've been doing this show for a long time. Those of you out there that have seen the program, you know how awesome these video interviews tend to be. And believe me, Blistur is not going to let you down when it comes to this episode. We've got Chris, we've got Neil, we've got Steve from the band. They are on location during the filming of this entire interview from their side. They filmed it from the Daytona Beach Bike Rally, and you're going to see all kinds of footage from the city surrounding them, from the whole area that's going on right there. They're even going to bust out, it's amazing. They're going to bust out a special medley of a Canadian band. That's right. For those of you out there in Canada watching, they're going to bust out a medley of a Canadian band, and they're going to do it live from the stage right there. They're even going to shout us out. How awesome is that? I mean, some of you have already heard about this stuff from the SBS podcast when we featured them not too long ago. I think it was just last week, actually. We played a couple of tracks from Blistur's album Fear Itself, and we're going to talk to them about the record, of course, on the show today. We're going to ask them all kinds of questions about life and what's coming up, and they've got new DVDs in the works and new music already on the go, and Blistur plays 250 plus shows a year. Believe me, we'll get into that, because that's just amazing. Every time I think about that, I just kind of drift off to amazed, because that is seriously incredible. If you've listened to the past shows or you've seen anything that we've done with Blistur so far, then you know for a fact I've got a massive amount of respect for these guys and the way that they approach their music. Not only are they in it for the pure love of the game, but think about the math on that for a second. 250 plus shows a year. Now, regardless of where you feel like Blistur falls on the chart in between independent and mainstream acts don't rock 250 shows a year for the most part, unless you're Dave Matthews Band or something crazy like that. But you get the idea. That's how hard these guys are working, and the fact that they're doing it is what's leading them to success. So believe it, man. If you want it, you can achieve it, and Blistur is proof of that. And we're going to get to that with them, of course, all throughout this interview. We're going to talk to them about music-related everything, and even get them to defend Metallica for me, because Lord knows I've had problems with that band for years. So it's time to get that straightened out, as well as get all the details that we can out of this band about what makes them tick and what makes Blistur different from everybody else that's out there in the music scene right now. Beyond everything that I've just told you about, because I don't want to, some spoilers in there, which I suppose I'm supposed to say at the beginning, but believe me, I didn't give it all away. We've got lots coming for you. Exclusive music on the show today from Blistur. It's going to be killer. Make sure you stick around. This is Blistur on SBS Live this week. Chris, Neil, Steve, Blistur, welcome to SBS Live this week. here's what I want to say. I've done my research. I've checked you out. I know things about you now. I mean, I'm close to up to date, like really up to date. I think I know everything about you except for maybe what you had for breakfast. Other than that, I feel like I've got this. And I'm stoked to get to a whole set of questions for you. All that good stuff being said, not everybody out there has done as much research on you as I have at this point. And it's probably best that we get everybody on the same page. Let's get a quick intro from you, Blistur. Who are you? What are you all about? How did you get here? And, you know, of course, what sets you apart from the rest of what's out there in the music scene right now?
What's up, Jer? This is Chris Kellam.
I'm Neil Gupton.
Steve Cap.
We're from Blistur. Before we go any further, Jer, I'd really like to thank you so much for taking the time, you know, to do the research on Blistur. And I mean, you went through everything, man. We're looking at the questions going, wow, this guy really knows what he's doing. So we really appreciate Sleeping Bag Studios for doing that.
Yeah, and we all really enjoy your program. We've been watching all your stuff. You got a great style, and we're happy to be part of it. Thank you very much.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Very, very impressed with all of it.
I personally, you were asking about breakfast. I think I had coffee this morning. I think that's about all I had.
Breakfast? I had an Egg McMuffin.
A nice bagel with cream cheese for me.
Okay. Sounds good.
That's a New York thing.
It most certainly is.
What sets Blistur apart from everybody else? Well, I don't know. I think a lot of it is the fact that we're all about the music all the time. We do a variety of songs, cover-wise and original-wise. So we have like a bunch of different styles that we enjoy. And I think that being all about the music probably sets us apart from everybody else.
Perfectionist.
Yeah,
We are
we're all
perfectionists.
very much into being as good as we can on our instruments. So we've always been that way.
Yeah.
And that's probably what attracted us to each other, is that, you know, we all push each other. I had to go take drum lessons to try to keep up with his fret speed on guitar. It was crazy, but he made me a better player. So I think we all make each other better players,
Absolutely.
Yeah.
and that's the fun of it.
Yeah.
I think the fact that we all like different kinds of music too, you know, kind of helps us, keeps us in perspective, you know, as far as.
And everybody's pretty open-minded, and
Yeah.
nobody fights, and we don't. That's probably one of the bigger anomalies about this band, is that we're not at each other's throats. We don't have any legendary stories to tell. Somebody walking off the set.
I quit.
Yeah.
So let's see if I got all this correct here. Before There Were Seasons, Greatest Hits Volume 2, Bloody Mary, Scars and Stripes, Fear Itself, 5 albums so far, and there's mention as well of a live DVD that you've created and that you're heading into the studio to record a 6th record. So yeah, I mean, I guess I should ask you about that, shouldn't I? Where are we at with all that? Gentlemen of Blistur? Let's get some exclusive, never before seen or heard or mentioned information for the people out there. What can you tell us about the latest record coming up from Blistur? The website mentions that you're going to top the last album, Fear Itself. So, how are you going to do that anyway?
How are we going to top Fear Itself? That's a damn good question. It's my favorite album. We were able to really produce it the way we wanted to produce it. I think because we're doing that as well on this album, it's going to be even better because we're putting even more time into it. As a matter of fact, we went from releasing in 2018, now we're doing it in 2019 because we added some more stuff to it.
Yeah, and we'll probably top it because we gained so many fans since Fear Itself.
Yeah.
And we hooked up with Accurate Talent, and Stan's doing a great job of PR and getting the word out about the band in places we never could get it before. And in places we never even thought of. So that's been great. We're looking forward to that.
Yeah, we're also adding more elements in there with Steve in the band now. Since he's brought this keyboard element in, and we're doing all kinds of different, sounds that we're not used to doing. I think it's opened us up a lot.
I also think it's experience too, just all the experience of doing all the albums.
Yeah.
course, you're going to get better at it as you go.
Yeah, absolutely. So that's probably what's going to help this album top the last one. I think you'll like it.
You know, people are always curious about evolution when it comes to a band, and I'm no exception to that rule when it comes right down to it. So what I'm curious about this time is, how has the music changed? How has the band evolved from that first record to where you guys are at now? And that's aside from obviously things like, you know your instruments better, or you've refined the sound more over time. These are natural things that happen over the course of your evolution, of course. But when it comes to the version of Blistur, the one that started out way back when, and how you used to approach the studio and how you used to come into the recording sessions, how you used to deal with music and the scene, everything all together, and the way that you tackle all these things now, what's the main difference? How have the collective experiences of Blistur shaped the sound, the direction, and the attitude of the music throughout the years? As a band, what does Blistur value?
To answer your question, in the early years, we would go to record and we'd be preoccupied with stupid little things like trying to keep a song under 4 minutes, or trying to come up with some catchy hook or phrase. Over time you start realizing that if I just record what I want to record and what you actually feel, you start really coming up with some cool shit.
And we figured if we liked it, other people would too, no matter what.
That's right. And as far as what we value, I think being true to ourselves musically is what we value, and I think it shows as each album comes out. I think it shows that we're becoming what we really want to be musically.
Here's a more wide open question for you. When is it okay to compromise when it comes to your music? Or is it ever? Define integrity when it comes to music in general, and specifically when it comes to the music of Blistur.
Yeah, I think this question kind of warrants the same type of answer as the last question.
Yeah.
When you write music to please others, true inspiration goes out the window. Sacrificing your own musical integrity, so to speak, to try to please someone else.
Yeah, and in the end, you don't end up impressing anybody.
I think also in the early days of Blistur, we would put good riffs and good songs aside to favor what some label would like. And turns out we were wrong.
One of my favorite things that I discovered in checking out all things Blistur was a section of one of the sites that talks about how we're not all in the same mood every day. And ultimately, I think that's something that everyone can relate to, musician or not. But framing it like that, it helped me understand why being open to all kinds of music would certainly be an asset in Blistur. It's a great mindset to have. It can lead to massive creative breakthroughs and happy accidents that can become killer new tunes. I mean, you already know this stuff. Maybe go into that a bit, though. Was this the attitude that the band started with from day one? Was it something that came natural, or something that you guys ended up discussing? How has your versatility in sound become a strength over time, and how has it helped you along the way?
Being in a band where you play a variety of stuff, a variety of material, all over the spectrum, it does inspire us to write the kind of stuff that we write in different settings and moods and stuff like that.
I think it goes back to the point you made earlier, where we used to try to fit something into one box to please an industry or a certain audience and say, well, this is the wave that's happening now in music, and if we can ride that wave, then we'll make it, and then exactly. In the end, we ended up writing songs that this one's extremely happy, and then, a couple months later, this one's extremely, it's just where we were at the time, and it all works. So it was basically, that phrase is about life is emotions, and that's what music is. It's happiness and sadness, all that.
Bent, for instance, is about how some people get away with just about everything.
And they push you to the very edge.
Yeah, they push you to the breaking point.
Or even how about Walls of Silence? I mean, you did a lot of meaning to that one.
There is a lot of meaning to that. This is a new one coming out, Walls of Silence, and this is about, my mother wrote it, actually wrote the words. She was going through breast cancer at the time, and she put her heart and soul into this song, and so musically, I wanted to do the same thing, put my heart and soul into that song, and it ended up being a really good song.
If you want to be happy, we got songs like Beautiful and My Girl.
That's true. That's true.
If you want to be mad, we got some other stuff for you too.
Yeah. Very true.
According to legend, Blistur plays an astonishing 250 shows per year. I can do the math on that. That's a lot of shows. I mean, you're basically out there on stage 2 out of every 3 days at minimum, which is, that's awesome. I hear freaking musicians here in Canada, they tell me all the time, this is real, this is the truth. They tell me all the time that there's nowhere to play, that there's not enough venues, blah, 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 blah. All this BS that I know for an absolute fact actually isn't even true. Most people just don't know where to look, let alone have the chops and the music to get the time on stage to begin with. But you clearly have both. Blistur's got a kick-ass catalog, it's got a killer live reputation, and you're playing shows non-stop. So how essential have these live shows been to the band throughout the years in establishing your music out there in the scene? And what advice would you give to some of these young punks that are out there that think there aren't enough stages to play on? From perception to reality, many people think it's tough, extremely tough, to get a half hour on stage, but clearly you've managed. I mean, you've earned it, but clearly you've managed to do it. You've beat the odds. You guys are beating the system, according to the independent music scene. You guys have found a way to end up being you're playing way more shows than the average band is, which is amazing. So help these guys out. How do you go about doing it? What's the secret in the sauce?
What is the secret? Damn, what's the secret?
Busting your ass.
Is there a secret?
That's what the secret is busting your ass.
Yeah, I think dedication is a secret. Dedication to your fans, dedication to the venues you're playing at.
I think being professional, too, honestly.
He mentioned fans around him in Canada complaining there's not many places to play. One of the things we did early on, there wasn't a lot of places for us to play. We would create gigs. If you want to play and you think you got an audience for it, create a gig. Go to a local business that's doing a grand opening and say, hey, let my band play. If that's all you've got, and if you're spread out and you don't have a lot of places near you to play. But the number one thing I tell people, and how you get this many shows a year, be good at what you do, whether it's bluegrass or metal or whatever you do. If you're the best you can be at, or at least strive for that, you're going to succeed.
That's right.
I mean, I'd ask you what you all do with your downtime outside of the music if I thought you guys actually got any. 250 plus shows a year. I mean, that's seriously impressive stuff, Blistur. That's outright inspiring, guys. Are there any highlights that you can point out from all those shows? What makes a show memorable for you anyhow? I mean, I'll admit, on this side of the screen, I listen to so much music and review so much music that, I can tell you a few names that I remember because they made great music, wrote great songs, but I probably couldn't tell you when I reviewed them, or more than 2 cuts by name that I might remember. It gets hazy pretty quickly, you know what I mean? I end up reviewing about 300 plus records a year. So, I'm not saying it takes the same amount of energy as getting out there on stage, but it's right around the same amount of shows that you guys are playing, really. So, I'd imagine night after night, it's probably tough to hang on to every memory, no matter how seemingly memorable each show is. You following me? So over time, what sticks around? What still stands out as the highlights from the hundreds of shows that you guys have played? Everyone wants to forget that awful hotel or flat tire experience along the way. I get that. Disaster scenarios are easy to recall. But what about the greatest memories you create out there on stage while you're out there on the road? What do you remember? And most importantly, why do you remember it?
Memorable moments.
Yeah.
What do you think? There's a lot of them.
Memorable moments of the day I quit.
That would be memorable.
I don't even know if we're going to remember a moment. I know the landing sticks out on New Year's Eve. They estimated 10,000 people.
Mm-hmm. I think you had the video of that, Jared.
Show some love for everybody.
Before that show, I walked up there to the front of the stage. I just looked out there, and everybody's looking at me like, what is he doing? And I went like this. I just put both fists in the air, and the whole crowd just, rah! That was good.
Yeah, he hit another level that night.
I think we all did.
Yeah, just running on instinct. I remember in the middle of that show, you just grabbed your mic, turned it towards the crowd, and the band instinctively stopped, and the crowd sang it, and it was like electric. We had a lot of good shows like that, though. We got on the radio down in St. Martin, the Caribbean island. Next thing you know, we're down there playing a major concert, and we recorded an album down there. And there's nothing to do down there but drink and record.
Greatest Hits Volume 2, right?
Yeah, so the album got done like that. We had 8 days to record, and like a day and a half, we were like, okay, we're done. You know, that's all we had to do. But Florida Theater was a place that I used to watch concerts as a kid and dream of playing there. That might even be the biggest thing. You know, maybe Guantanamo Bay, just the how sobering that is when you get there.
Going to Glass Beach and all the places down there. It was really fun down there. It was a lot of. We ended up doing a lot of things down there. Remember, they put us in our own apartments. Each one of us had our own
that
little.
was great. Yeah.
That was memorable.
They were like officers' quarters, man. It was like a living room and a bedroom, our own coffee maker and maid, and it was fantastic.
You had a maid?
Yeah.
Shit.
Her name was Dave.
Nice.
That's awesome. She had that husky voice, you know.
I am also curious about sickness and health, Blistur. I'm not gonna lie to you. I feel like ass right now. I do. I have been sick for like a week straight. I got the flu or something. I don't know what it is. But, you know, when I think about a band like you guys that are out there for like, what, 250 some odd shows a year, and you're getting out there you're getting out there on stage like night after night. You know, no exceptions. It doesn't matter sickness or health. Let's face it, independent musicians of all kinds, really, you guys don't get the option of just taking the night off. It's going to cost you with your fan base, with the venues and the promoters. There's all kinds of different things that you have to consider, of course. So you don't get that option. You have to go out there night after night. And it's, you know, honestly, from my perspective, it makes you guys kind of superhuman in a way. Just how that desire to entertain, that desire to connect with the people somehow outweighs everything. It's not just a paycheck. Everybody that knows musicians knows that at the end of the day. It's not even up for debate. That's you know, just a given. You guys do this for just the pure love of the game. And you do it whether you're sick or whether you're healthy. So I'm here too. That's why I'm here. I'm here right now doing this interview with you because I got to live up to that standard as best I can, which is not at all possible. Again, you guys are superhuman when it comes to that. And I don't really have a question here. I mean, I guess I'm just curious as to what do people not know about that? You know what I mean? I think a lot of people take for granted that when they buy tickets to a show or they go to a show at night, that those musicians are just out there and they're doing their thing and they don't really factor in, hey, maybe that dude's got the flu, maybe this guy's completely sick, maybe that guy's got a broken toe. You know, these things happen. So, yeah, I guess I'm just curious. how does it work for you guys in Blistur? What's it really like when you got to like get out there on stage and battle being sick, having the flu or whatever it is that's going on in behind the scenes? How do you rally around that, or how do you get in front of it? How do you go out there and still have a good time? And more importantly, how do you get past it so that the people in front of you are having a good time as well? It's got to be tough, man. I'm just curious. Is it as tough as I think it is? It's got to be.
Don't get sick.
The show must go on.
There's a lot of cigarette smoke sometimes where we play, and
Yeah.
it's harder to
People
get
shaking
over
your hands,
allergies and colds and stuff.
People get in your face and they want to tell you
hugging
about
you, kissing you.
They want to request a song or talk to you about something, and you try to direct them towards your ear, but they keep coming. You know, they keep like, no, let me follow your
Worse,
face.
they're talking
instead.
in your face, and you realize 5 minutes in they got a sniffle, and you're like,
Oh, great.
"Are you sick? Oh, I got a flu. I can't kill. Thanks."
And you know, believe it or not, we play when we're sick like that. I mean, if we have a cold, if we're not hospitalized, we're at the show playing. And unless my voice is completely gone, which thank God, I've been able to survive this long.
Yeah, he's a warrior because he starts to get cold or flu, and he can sing through it. It's amazing. I start to get it, and my backup vocals are just gone. I can't sing at all. I just squeal.
Speaking of hospitalized,
Yeah. I was out last year for a couple of months, actually.
that big Sturgis rally we always go to,
Gallbladder.
right at the last
What are you
minute, he had
gonna do?
gallbladder.
Right before we
issue.
left for
Yeah.
South Dakota. And guess what happened last night? Steve's a warrior too, because here we are. We got all these shows at Bike Week, and guess what happens to him last night?
Kidney stones.
Kidney stone.
Up all night. But, hey, show must go on.
Yeah.
Bike week.
And like I said, unless we're in the hospital, you know, we're at the show.
I promised you we would be lighting this episode up with some extremely cool stuff and of course some music from Blistur. And you know we're going to do that right now. Right from the studio sessions, direct. We've got them performing the song Beautiful. This is Blistur on SBS Live this week.
When I'm with you, it's like I'm living in a dream. Yes, it's true, you're my everything. I get this feeling when you look at me and smile. Oh, you're driving me wild. Beautiful, you're so beautiful. Say you're beautiful in every way. You're beautiful, you're so beautiful. Say you're beautiful every single day. Love you way. Feels like I've stepped into the silver screen. You and I were in every scene. My life's in focus when I look into the lens. I hope this movie never ends. You're beautiful, you're so beautiful. I say you're beautiful in every way. You're beautiful, you're so beautiful. I say you're beautiful every single day. In a lovely way. Yeah, yeah. Beautiful, you're so beautiful. See, you're beautiful in every way. Beautiful, you're so beautiful. See, you're beautiful every single day.
As far as I've heard during this whole process of the interview right now, you guys are out there at the Daytona Beach Bike Rally. I believe that's happening right now, which is a pretty awesome gig from what I've read, what I've heard about, and what it sounds like you guys are doing out there, which is playing like something like 9 shows or something. That's incredible. It's awesome. What an opportunity. I mean, you might be filming some of these responses right there, right now. How awesome is that? That's awesome. Did I mention that? This is awesome? Okay, I did. Moving on. So tell us what got you into this whole Daytona Beach Bike Rally to begin with. Like, what's the story behind that? And, what else do I want to know? Like some highlights. Like, tell us about some of the cool things that have happened while you're out there. Maybe show us around if you can. I mean, or do both. I'm easy.
As you know, Jerry, yeah, we're at Bike Week right now. We took the camera around and we're gonna give you a little tour here. How did we get to Bike Week? Daytona. Because, there's more than one Bike Week, and I think Daytona's the second largest in the whole country, next to Sturgis.
Yeah.
And the way we got to Daytona the very first time was our personal band manager now actually had a venue and gave us an opportunity right off the bat. And that was 10 years ago.
Yeah. And then later on we recruited him, and he's part of Accurate Talent Services and brought us in.
Yep.
And that's led to much more down Daytona, Sturgis, Myrtle Beach.
Yep.
Angel City, Milledgeville, lots of bike rallies. Bikers have been great to us.
Yeah.
And it's been word of mouth too. That's the best way to get these things, is word of mouth. You can have the shiniest press kit in the world, and it's going to do nothing like word of mouth.
Yeah.
Incidentally, I tuned into some live footage from you guys out there in St. Augustine, I believe is the name of the place. Is that right? Let me check my notes here. Being, extremely professional. My notes are just down below. Yes, St. Augustine. And at one point in the middle of the song, I mean, you could probably skip to any point of it, but at one point, Chris, I mean, it looked to me like you were blazing through 5 different techniques of guitar right there on display. And that was probably, I mean, obviously I've heard what's happening in the music on the records, and, you get a picture of it in your mind, but to be able to see it right there, I mean, that was one of those moments where you kind of really think to yourself, these guys can play. No joke, these guys can play, and you could see it right there. The chemistry that you guys had between each other on stage, absolutely there. But, just from a technical standpoint, the musicianship is certainly there. I mean, you guys definitely know what you're doing. Not that I expected anything otherwise, but you get what I mean. It's something to watch. It's cool. It's part of what makes a live performance, in my opinion, worth going to. But you seem like you're genuinely having fun out there on stage as well, and of course that's huge. That's a major part of what people connect to. And I would imagine that, honestly, you guys are playing 250 plus shows a year. That's got to be tough to keep that energy fresh and exciting and fun night after night, especially considering how little sleep you would get or how much you'd have to travel from place to place. Obviously, there's different factors and stuff like that stop us from performing or being our best 100%, but when you're out there on stage, I mean, at least from what I've seen, you look like you're 100%, you know what I mean? And that's kind of that commitment again, that whole thing about the sickness and health from before. It's similar to that. I mean, you have to go out there and battle it and keep it, unique for yourself night after night. So how do you challenge yourselves as a band to break through to that next level creatively? Or I suppose, when it comes to yourselves as artists individually, how do you challenge yourselves to kind of, up your instrumentation, up your game that way so that you can contribute to the band more, the whole bigger, better, faster, more, all that stuff. Obviously, you want to do the best job that you can inside of Blistur. So how do you guys all go about kind of, ensuring that happens? Is it a lot of practice time? Is it a lot of jam space? What's the recipe?
How do we do it night after night to make it look like we're having fun? Well, I think because we are having fun. Mm-hmm. It's really simple, it's not that hard to have the endurance to play like this at that level and to keep it going night after night, because every single time I pick up my instrument, I'm having a good time.
The internet is a hard thing to erase, I tell you. There is all kinds of history out there, and it's always tough to keep every page updated, man. Believe me, I live it myself. So as I'm scrolling through and I'm looking around and I'm listening, I see the mention of Dom Birdie sometimes in a few write-ups out there. But I also see good old Steve has cracked the official lineup on the homepage. So I'm assuming that there was a lineup switch and not a name change. But hey, you never know. But I ain't looking for dirt. It's up to you on what you want to share with the people about the experience and how it ended up ending. Bands evolve, change, grow, lose players, gain players all the time. We know that. Neil and Chris, you seem to be the constant over the years as the founding members of Blistur. So how difficult has it been to find that third piece? And what was it about Steve specifically that made him the right fit for the band? And for you, Steve, are you still feeling like the new guy in the lineup, or are you part of the family already? How hard is it to jump into an existing project with a history and a pre-established chemistry?
It certainly wasn't easy just to be thrown into an already established band, and the other bass players were very, very good, outstanding. So that was a challenge in itself. As far as me fitting in and feeling like family, it just happened. We all got along very, very well, and I can actually recall a time when we went up to Sturgis our first year. I think that we really bonded, and that was about 6 months after I was in, and things just kind of clicked because we were all trapped in a trailer for about 2 or 3 weeks together. So we just kind of really got to know each other, and that's when I really felt that I'm in, and everything was solid, so.
It takes a lot to find somebody. We know a lot of great bass players that can't commit to do it full time. So finding that person that can do it full time and that has the same vision as you and has the skill level and is going in the same direction musically. It took us about 18 months of trial and error to find Steve, and once we did, we pretty much lucked out.
Yeah, and also he brought a different element into the band that we've never had, and that's bringing the keyboards into different sounds, and the fact that he was so skillful with the original songs and putting his own little flavor. That's this getting back to one of the previous questions, that this new album coming out is going to be so much better or so much different, because of the fact that we've evolved over time, and I think we found the perfect fit. It took us a long time.
Yeah, he still never brought the donuts though. The rookie's supposed to bring the donuts. We told you that, and you never did. But you know that we can't replace you, so you know that's why you're not bringing.
Got you right where I want you.
Yeah, I'm just gonna put a little keyboard. No changes or nothing, you know. Now we can't play without it now.
Well, played with us like 6 months. It's like, oh, by the way, I play keyboard. Want to try it? Starts playing it with his feet.
It took them 6 months before they actually were comfortable even letting that in.
That's not true.
No, but when you finally did do it, though, I mean,
that was
the
it.
rush and all that stuff, it freaks people out. You're sitting there, you know, playing with your feet and filling the whole thing in. It makes a really big difference, man. So, yeah.
According to legend, all the things that I've read and seen out there, back in 2005 when the band originally got together, it had a lot to do with the common bond of each of you having family and friends in the military. And since then, you've gone on to continue to support and play for the troops. You've even been flown into Guantanamo Bay to do it. How awesome is that? Plus, according to my notes here, you've also been the headliner at the Boots on the Ground benefit in Florida, which honors fallen soldiers and their families, and it physically manifests itself with boots on the ground, side by side, on the streets, lined up for a reported 20-plus miles, which is incredible in so many ways and extremely moving. And for what it's worth, I think you guys donating your time is worth a salute as well. What you're doing is important. Hell, I'm Canadian, and I understand that even. The best of the best in your country all serve to keep us safe, and the world at large, in my opinion, has a ton to be thankful for when it comes to the U.S. military. You guys giving back in your own way through music is just about one of the greatest ways to say thank you that I can think of. So when it comes to playing these shows, do you guys make any adjustments, or do you approach these shows in any kind of different way, or rather, like when you're up there on stage playing for the troops of the U.S. military, do you feel any different up there? What's the experience been like? And in your own words, what makes doing this a priority for you all?
Yeah, you know, I have family in the military going way back. As a matter of fact, I just found out through genealogy that my daughter is a daughter of the Confederacy and the daughter of the Revolutionary War.
And especially after the events of September 11 and the way we're on a war footing for so long, and these people are out there, you know, we're running around playing rock and roll music and enjoying ourselves immensely while these guys are, you know, in the desert with heavy backpacks, and so it always struck us, their sacrifice that they made. These young guys that give everything to fight back against people that would try to prevent us from playing rock and roll.
Yes.
Probably be the first thing that outlaw, and
at least one of them.
Yeah. And so we always had a special affinity for that. And then, like you mentioned, doing the Boots on the Ground, and that's a very somber, sobering event, but we're so proud that we've done that, and what a great group of people to put that on. And Boots on the Ground honors fallen soldiers, and these are the boots of fallen soldiers. They line up and they have a flag and a profile of each soldier.
Thousands of them.
Thousands of them. Hard to go look at without getting broken up, you know.
Yeah.
Because you start to put a face. It's not just a name. It's not just a number. It's a person. It's no longer here.
And it's not just a boot. You know, you see the actual picture and what he or she did.
Yeah.
You know, in the service. And so, you know, we try to make it a priority to do as many military functions as we can, you know.
And even in our regular shows, we're running dedications to the military with a song most every night.
Yeah.
So.
Playing Guantanamo Bay was a real highlight.
Yeah, that was really fun.
Go down there and you really get humbled because these people are on, you know, in Cuba they can't go anywhere. So they're stuck on this one base, and, you know.
And the ones running the prison got a really, really tough job. And it's got to mess with you.
It might be kind of an odd side note here, and it's just an observation. Curiosity always gets the better of me, you know, even with the smallest of details. So I'm looking at all these pages and sites and whatnot and all this Blistur stuff that I can find, and on the main site it's got a quote. Blistur is the love child of Pink Floyd, Tool, and Metallica. And later on in different spots on the internet, I'd see that same list used to describe you, which also included a fourth band, Rush. So, I mean, either someone advocated for Rush to be added to the list or removed from the list when it came to the main website, which is probably an awesome conversation to have one day too. But right now, I suppose what I'm more curious about, we all look for those comparisons to help draw people in. And it wouldn't do any good to post a whole bunch of influences that the everyday music listener isn't going to be able to identify either. Like how Make Up Your Mind from your album Fear Itself reminded me very much of like Quicksand or Failure when it first started up. The comparison probably gets a little looser once the vocals start coming into the picture, but you get the idea. It wouldn't help to have a band like Quicksand or Failure in a list of bands to compare you to. The masses wouldn't quite put it together. So we kind of have to go with the biggest of the big names. And I guess what I'm wondering is, well, I'm wondering two things. One being, do those comparisons end up putting the band in a position to have to live up to some sort of unrealistic expectations? Or like, does it add some sort of weird pressure as musicians, or give the listener a different standard to expect? And then I suppose I'll follow that up by pointing out that I don't feel like your list is inaccurate. I actually think it fits you pretty well. You've narrowed it down to 4 though: Pink Floyd, Metallica, Tool, and Rush. Can you explain to the people out there where you feel like the similarities between your band and those bands exist?
I think a lot of people have compared us to different musicians and different bands, and we don't do our own comparison. This is what people have told us over the years.
Yeah, I think with the originals, because it's not like we're trying to copycat those bands, but it's more like people get that some of the stuff we write is moody, and that reminds you of Pink Floyd, and lyrical depth, which reminds you of Floyd, and then some of it's heavier than Floyd was, and so that reminds you of Tool. To me, Tool is like a heavy Pink Floyd.
Yeah.
And then Metallica, because we get up and downright chunky sometimes. When it comes to Rush, we ought to record a Rush cover for him when we play tonight. What do you think?
Yeah.
We'll show you the Rush side. We'll show you the Rush side. Let's get video. We'll get Stan to video us doing a Rush song for you Canadians up there.
We'll do a shout out for you on stage.
Yeah, let's do that.
We just did an interview this afternoon in Sleeping Bag Studio up in Canada. We appreciate him having us on the show. This is for you, Jared.
On your websites, you can read right there in the information, and I can hear it in your music as well. It's clear that you draw from a large range of sound and inspiration. Like, I've read about a love for Steve Vai, and I've seen footage of a Dire Straits cover. Like I said, it's an impressive amount of territory that you cover there, boys. It really is. And from what I was reading about, it mentions how you all bring that to Blistur. That's something that you guys all have your own set of influences and whatnot. And you're making this big old magical merry melting pot of possibilities and potential for your music. This is all good stuff. What I want to know about are the roots. For each of you, since it's all individual in a sense, I'm curious about that specific moment, if you can recall when things changed and all of a sudden you wanted to be a musician for life. What inspired you? What were you listening to? Who did you see? Where were you? What was it about the experience that was so life-changing that it led you to not just want, but need to be a musician for life?
I remember when I was a kid, my stepfather took me to a Foghat concert.
What's that? I'm too young for that. What is that?
Right. Put me on his shoulders, and I was just like, damn, look at that. I want to do that. Whoa. That's what I want to do. And I mean, I'll never forget that, man. That's what actually got me.
Was it guitar?
No, actually, I started on drums.
Did you?
I think everyone starts on drums. I tell you the truth, I really can't remember the actual moment, but I did start on drums myself.
Really?
And then the kid up the street played better. Actually, he had more drums than me.
Oh.
So he was the drummer, and then this is all back when I was 10, 12 years old. And then after that, I started playing guitar. And then the kid up the street played the guitar better than me. So then they said, we needed someone to play bass. So I said, well, there's no one around playing bass, I'll do it.
Right.
So I started playing bass, and that's how it all really began. And I think I was kind of influenced through my uncle played guitar, and my grandfather played saxophone. He actually played in a band back in the day. So, it was just that, and it was something to do.
You're not gonna believe
Right.
this. I started on drums too.
What?
Yeah.
Shocker.
Yeah. I don't know. Nobody in my family was musical. I thought I was adopted. They thought I was adopted. Anyway, my dad used to listen to big band music. I was about 8 years old. The old 40s and 50s stuff. Benny Goodman, and I heard Sing 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 with Gene Krupa on that floor tom, and I knew right then I was a drummer. I could play it on his desk right then. That was it. I don't know why, but I knew. And then I heard stuff the older kids in the neighborhood and my brother were playing, like the classic rock, Foreigner and Journey and stuff like that, and Kansas, and later on Rush. So when I heard Foreigner, I knew I was going to be a rock drummer, and when I heard Rush, I knew I needed to practice a whole lot. That's pretty much how I got here.
We all start from somewhere.
Alright, so Blistur, you got a new album coming out this summer, and that's practically right around the corner probably by now. Now, normally I'd ask you if there's a tour coming up to support it, but let's face it, I don't think you guys have actually ever stopped being on tour from the sounds of things. So let's broaden this question out a little bit here. You've been working on your latest record for a while now. Presumably it's much ready to roll out if it's not out there already by the time of this interview. So after that happens, well then what? What are we doing here? What does the future hold next for Blistur, and how far do you guys plan on taking this thing? I mean, what's the ultimate version of success for you guys in the band? Does it need to be anything bigger than it already is? Or are you guys satisfied with where you're at?
The CD will be out in the summer of 2019. We were going to release it earlier, but we ended up adding some more stuff to it. We're getting ready for our CD release party, which we're going to do another DVD. And so we're working on the show for that. And as far as ever being satisfied with the final product. I'm really bad about wanting to redo stuff.
Overanalyzing.
Yeah,
Perfection.
we are perfectionists.
That's it.
And you want to put something out that your fans are going to really like. You don't want there to be any dumb mistakes, or even the mix has to be perfect, at least as close to perfect as you can get. You want it to be comparable with other artists out there and other recordings out there. I don't think we'll ever be really satisfied. Even if I had Warner Brothers doing it for me, I'd probably have something to bitch about.
You
sure.
probably have more to play with.
That's true.
And as far as what after that, I'm hoping to put this DVD out and make it even better than the last one. The last one we try to be more, we try to be entertaining and give you just more than the songs back to back. We give you a little backstage footage and stuff like that. We'll try to do the same thing with this release party. I think this is going to be much bigger than the last one.
Talk about, you mentioned us playing so much. It is strange with this band. The music industry for years has been record an album, hunker down for 6 months and then tour relentlessly to support the album. We're too busy, so now we tour and then we record an album to support the tour, basically. So in between there, we'll have to fit a time to put in one big massive concert, one big push when we release the CD, which we're very excited about. It's going to be a good one.
Okay, I'm on record with one thing over and over and over again when it comes to my writing, and that is Metallica and I don't exactly get along. I used to be a fan way back in the day, but once they went down that whole route with Napster and all that stuff, I jumped off the bandwagon and I never found my way back on. So now I kind of feel like I'm at that point where I completely don't understand them at all at this point. Obviously you guys are fans, so if you want the opportunity, I'll give it to you right here. Take the gloves off and defend Metallica. Ultimately, what would you say that they contributed to music, and how did they change anything? What have they done that's positive? I know that they've obviously put out some great records. That's a thing for sure. But really, in terms of music history, have they done enough to truly be one of the greatest of the greats? I've never seen them live, so I don't even know. Honestly, I don't know. Defend Metallica.
I can defend Metallica. They're one of my favorite bands, all-time bands.
Didn't you see them too? Yeah, see them.
Actually, yeah, they're badass live. Even to this day, our personal manager, Stan, a personal friend, took me to see Metallica, and I was blown away, man. I mean, yeah, I understand what you're saying about Napster and all that. And at the time, I was, I'm on board with you. I was like, what the hell is he bitching about? They're millionaires, But, they did change the landscape of music. They're one of the only bands that can write every song in E and get away with it. And you get this chunk and E thing that they started, and they may not have started it, but the production of Metallica, especially in the early years, and they were starting to get more and more tight with that whole, and it was, it's stupid looking back at it now, but when you were in the moment back then, it's like, holy shit, I can't believe how tight this sounds. For heavy metal, it's real tight. And even over the years, they still write great songs, and you can't deny over 100 million records sold.
And would you say that defending Metallica could include, would you say foreign and domestic, old and young metal bands would all say that they love Metallica no matter
well, they were
or were influenced by them?
Influenced, exactly.
Well, yeah, I think they also, were the leaders back in the day. They really punctured through everything.
They also had some different structure to their songs. It wasn't just straight ahead, verse, chorus, guitar, lead, chorus.
Right.
That stuff was complicated too.
They were writing 10-minute songs back in the day.
And in some respects, they're kind of the king of it.
Yeah.
I didn't like them several years ago until I saw them live.
Well,
I wasn't really into them.
And
I got it.
They brought metal into the mainstream.
Yeah.
Which was, hard in the 80s. It was hard to hear anything but cheese ball
music in the 80s.
Yeah, that's mild nowadays, huh?
Yeah.
They were definitely in the forefront.
Yeah, so they did plow the way for a lot of bands, including us, and that's why I will always at least respect them.
just an opportunity to shout out people you love, people that have helped you get to where you are right now, people that have supported you along the way. If you want to name some names and show some love out there to those that have basically helped your music exist, the floor is yours, and help yourself.
Well, my wife Rachel has been supportive for many years of this musical endeavor.
Yep.
And the fans that keep us fed, I can't tell you what it means, how much it means. So many people come see us so often. It's great.
Yep. My wife Heather's been putting up with me leaving and being gone for weeks at a time, and giving me a beautiful daughter, Grace. And they both support everything I do with the band. My mom and dad got me started. And, very grateful.
I just want to thank my family throughout the years for supporting me in this music stuff, and of course my sons who've always break my chops about things and tell me what to wear and what not to wear. And hell, I really want to thank these two guys for letting me in.
Thanks for being here. I was going to say the same thing. I wanted to thank these two guys for making a musical experience that I can't duplicate anywhere else. I played in many bands and situations. I've just been very fulfilled with what we do. It's just a thrill.
Yeah, man. All the people that support us over the years, I really appreciate it.
Chris, Neil, Steve. It's like we're family at this point, don't you think? We've really gotten to know each other over this last while, and what can I say, gentlemen? I appreciate your time. We're at the end of the show here. We've got this thing called the open floor. It's a moment for you to say anything else that you like that we didn't cover throughout this interview. I know I ramble a lot. Believe me, I get it. It's just because I'm an actual music fan. I care about the whole scene. I want to see it do as well as it can. I want to see you guys do as well as you can. So I get that I've said a lot. But believe me, no interview that I've ever encountered ever covers everything. There's just no way that it can. And even here in the open floor where you can say anything else that you want, it's still not going to be enough. You know what I mean? We're still not going to get to it all. No one gets the full story. We can get pretty close, but we can't get it all. Not in one interview. It's never been done. Never been done. Anyhow, I would like to thank you for all your time and all your effort on your side of the screen. I absolutely look forward to hearing what you have to say on the show, of course. I encourage you to take your time, be creative, have fun, play music. I think I said all this stuff already, so I'll wrap it up and let you say the rest, and just say thank you. I truly do appreciate it. It means a lot to me. I can't wait to put it out there on the internet for people to see. And yeah, man, Blistur, thank you very much for being a part of SBS Live this week. The floor is yours. Peace.
Jared, we'd like to thank you for having us on your show. Man, I tell you, after watching your podcast, you do this a lot, and we're very flattered that you brought us on Sleeping Bag Studios.
Yeah, we're big fans and happy to be on with you. Thank you.
Yes.
Thanks so much. Really appreciate it.
Okay, y'all. Thank you so much for watching. This has been just an excellent... what? Oh, we've got one more song. Yeah, that's right. We do. Yeah, we do. Yes, right. Yeah, another in-studio session. Okay, that's right. We do. Yes, we do. My Nightmare from Blistur right now on SBS Live this week. Hardcore Encore.
Out from was free. A semblance of sanity to the edge of my dream. This is my nightmare, I'm in the darkness, falling, 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 I never hit the ground. This is my nightmare. This is my nightmare, I'm in the darkness, falling, 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 I never hit the ground. This is my nightmare. One step and I'm over, and there's no turning back. Two steps and I'm falling right through the cracks. This is my nightmare, I'm in the darkness, falling, 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 I never hit the ground. This is my nightmare. Yeah, this is my nightmare, I'm in the darkness, falling, 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 I never hit the ground. This is my nightmare. Darkness, nightmare, slowly comes to light. And whispers get louder as they cut like a knife in me. It cuts right through my skin. One step and I'm spinning out of control. Two steps and I stumble, but there's no place to go. This is my nightmare, I'm in the darkness, falling, 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 I never hit the ground. This is my nightmare. Yeah, this is my nightmare, I'm in the darkness, falling, 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 I never hit the ground. This is my nightmare. This is my nightmare. Yeah, this is my nightmare. Falling, 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 this is my nightmare. Turn the darkness into chill down yours. I chill inside you, I demonize you. I criticize you.
I'd just like to say a massive thank you once again to Neil, to Chris, to Steve, for all of you guys for taking your time out of your day, multiple days I'm assuming, to get this interview done. Everything was spectacular. Everything absolutely looked killer. The medley, come on people, that's just amazing. I don't even have the words for that. Just seeing that kind of stuff on stage happen live, I mean, like I've said on the shows in the past and on the podcast, this is what I get out of bed for, man. So, I mean, that is just beyond cool. And I can't say thank you enough. So, truly, Blistur, Thank you for being a part of the show today. Thank you to Stan Roper as well, their manager guy that you've heard them refer to several times throughout the interview. He's an integral part of this whole machine, and he certainly deserves some credit for helping us set this up and get it all organized and done. And I mean, we all know what it's like. I can't find my socks without my wife, so I don't know exactly how much Stan fills in for the guys, but believe me, at the end of the day, I do know that team surrounding us is often just as important as the players within the band themselves. And every interaction I've had with Stan and Blistur has shown that these guys are a complete unit, that they are in it for the love of the game, that they are making music because it's what truly matters to them. And I can't say thanks enough. So I'm going to leave it at that. So make sure to go to their websites. I'm sure we've advertised them plenty throughout the show, but just in case, Blistur.com, that is Blistur with a U instead of the E where you think it's going to go. Go and check those guys' sites out. They've got new music coming. They've got shows being played all the time. They've got every reason that you've just seen on screen to go out and support some great guys that are making some great music, that care about what they're doing, that care about the quality, that care about the entertainment factor, and they want to rock your face specifically just as much as everybody else is out there. That's the whole thing. These guys are in it to reach everybody they can. Anybody that wants to be a part of the fun and be a part of the excitement is more than welcome to join them. So make sure that you do. Blistur.com, go check it out. Do that. We will be back again, of course, with some, what do we got? Probably some more shows coming up with the first 5 years series, a whole bunch of live footage. If you haven't been checking that out, make sure you do that. If you want to find out extra information on Blistur or see what else we've done with them in the past, like the SBS podcast, make sure to go visit us at sleepingbagstudios.ca. I feel like I'm throwing my hands around a lot here today, so I'm going to wrap this up. This is the end of the show. Thank you again for watching, and we will see you next time on SBS Live this week.
Trying to see what's been locked inside.